Hey, Pastor Steve Waldron here. Great little book I picked up at the Goodwill in Savannah, Georgia, called It All Started with Marx. Man, I've been reading through this, hadn't finished it yet, but it is absolutely fascinating and scintillating. I mean, especially in the day and age that you and I live in, where socialism and all this is being so pushed and promulgated. So you'll see this is done by Richard Armour, put out by McGraw-Hill. And we'll read you a little bit about who Richard Armour is. This is a short little read, by the way. I mean, it's a little book. And so it all started with Marx, like Russia under Lenin. All right, life in the factory. Voting was by a show of hands. Commissar behind every worker. Life in the home. Okay, so it all started with Marx. A brief and objective history of Russian communism, the objective being to leave not one stone but many unturned, to state the theories of Marx so clearly that they can almost be understood, and to show how these theories and many old friends were carried out by Lenin, Trotsky, Stalin, Malenkov, Khrushchev, and others, with pictures for those unable to read. And this is a first edition, third printing, 1958. So, Richard Armour, if I'm not mistaken, was actually an ambassador. So once upon a time, there was no such thing as communism. People ignorantly toiled and saved, hoping to get ahead like the heroes in Horatio Alger's books, which they forgot were fiction. Frequently blinded by sentimentality, they left money to their loved ones. When this was done on a large scale, it led to the accumulation of huge fortunes like those of Rockefeller, Carnegie, and Ford, with some harebrained member of the younger generation was secure to squander on public libraries and housing projects. All right, so we know that this was a dystopian time in Russia, that 100 million or so were killed. The Gulag Archipelago, spoken of by Alexander Solzhenitsyn. So this is just a neat book to kind of add to that. And I know it's extraordinarily satirical and it's bitingly acerbic, but I do want to find out like exactly what his total viewpoint is, and if he totally points out the evils of communism, because no matter how theoretical communism is, you have to say where it's been put in practice. You have 1984 and you have Animal Farm in spades. You have them just totally put into horrific action of tyrannical dictatorships. And so if that's the future you desire, socialism, democratic socialism, communism, which Lenin, I think it was, that said socialism's just a stage coming to communism. Man, you don't want to be a dictator. You don't want to be a tyrant. You don't want to enslave the masses. You want freedom. You want the most good for the most people. Acknowledge there are poor people and try to figure out how do we lift them up without stealing from other people. So, God bless. Talk with you later. It All Started with Marx by Richard Armour. Talk with you later in Jesus' name.